There are a lot of video games, but from the piles upon piles of them, only a few can say they've truly had any impact on the industry. And that is what today's video is about, the top 10 games that have majorly impacted the gaming industry. And of course, there are way more games that have done so than just the ones I'm listing here. So for a more complete list of some of the most influential games, you can check out today's sponsor, Games Grabber, and the collection I've added there entitled The Most Influential Games. Check it out and grab yourself a bit of history, but more about that at the end of the video. Now, on with the list. Let's think about YouTube. Gaming plays a major part in it. Let's think about gaming on YouTube. Like, 70% of it is Minecraft. No doubt Minecraft has had a major impact on the industry, as evidenced by the many Minecraft clones and games bringing in Minecraft elements. But Minecraft's influence has gone beyond the gaming industry and into video streaming. It's created an entire subculture, and I'm sure its impact isn't even close to being finished. Many children today will have grown up on Minecraft and become game developers, and they will likely thank Minecraft for getting them interested not only in the field of gaming, but perhaps game design, as they build their own worlds in Minecraft. Minecraft's sheer size alone is enough for it to get onto this list, but when you consider how much it's changed people and created subcultures and even more major things I'm not even thinking of, it becomes obvious why it deserves this spot. Pacman. I mean, of course, how could Pacman not be on this list? Pacman was the very first widely known video game character. Before Pacman, video games featured characters such as Spaceship, another spaceship, and a block. But Pacman took the world by storm, easily becoming the first mascot of gaming as a whole before Mario came around. Pacman's influence actually changed the economy in both the US and Japan, as the popularity of Pacman arcade machines caused the governments of both to start printing more quarters. Ultima Online, with an asterisk that goes to World of Warcraft. While Ultima Online wasn't the very first MMORPG, it was the first to reach widespread popularity and show that there is a lot of money to be made in the genre. That is, if you can keep up with the server costs. Ultima Online nearly perfected every aspect of the MMORPG genre, from how players interacted and worked together, to the overworld being filled with life, and a well-balanced amount of death. This game drove many people into getting an internet connection for the very first time. Do you remember the beauty that was dial-up dubstep? Ultima Online would remain a major driving force of the internet until it was eventually overtaken by World of Warcraft, which arguably had an even greater impact on the gaming industry, since even now, many MMORPGs are heavily inspired by, or even are just clones of WoW. WoW reset the standard, but arguably, WoW wouldn't have happened if not for Ultima Online, so both are deserving of this spot. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Say what you will about this game franchise and its yearly releases of perhaps ever-degrading quality, but it's hard to argue against the fact that it had a major impact on the industry. While the first Call of Duties had some level of influence as well, it wasn't until the fourth installment that brought the franchise into modern times and caused the rest of the industry to pay very close attention. The vast explosion of first-person shooters started after the financial success that was Modern Warfare. Even today, there are countless Call of Duty wannabe games, and games targeted specifically at the large player base that are Call of Duty fans. The joke that modern gaming is nothing but brown FPSs spawned because of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Super Mario Bros. It's obvious why Mario is on here. After all, he's essentially the mascot of gaming as a whole, but he didn't earn such a title without doing anything substantial. Super Mario Bros. Was the first game to truly master 2D side-scrolling action, and it was many people's first scrolling game at all. Before Mario, most games would take place on a single screen at a time, or would change from one screen to the next rather than scrolling. After the popularity boom that was Mario, however, game after game after game mimicked its side-scrolling action, to the point where nearly every game side-scrolled to some degree. Super Mario Bros. Is also one of the biggest factors involved in bringing the US out of its video game recession. Super Mario 64 had the same revolutionary effect, though with 3D games rather than 2D ones. During the transitional period from 2D to 3D, many games faltered, and many popular franchises even died. Super Mario 64, however, proved that 3D gaming can be done well. With its near-perfect platforming and revolutionary camera control, it piloted the industry into how 3D games should be. That being good. The Legend of Zelda. Do you enjoy not having to write down outrageously long passwords every time you decide to take a break from a game? Then you can thank Zelda for introducing the concept of saving your game. Not to mention how it was one of the first console games with a large overworld teeming with life and danger of varying degrees. Arguably, it's also one of the first immersive console games. And to this day, it is still used to teach game design classes on how adventure games should conduct themselves. Its influence runs deep. Mortal Kombat. There had been talks about the role of violence in video games before, but Mortal Kombat essentially walked up to the table of concerned parents, flipped it, and then smacked them all in the face. A fighting game featuring intense gore, beheading, disemboweling, spines being ripped out, and people being burned to death? You can bet your butt it was controversial. Mortal Kombat is often credited as the triggering point that caused people to demand the creation of the ESRB, America's Video Game Rating Board, the creation of which is still having effects on gaming today. For example, if a game developer wants their game to be rated T or E10, they have to limit what kinds of things are in that game. They are no longer free to do whatever they want if they want a specific audience. And while parents are still learning, game ratings definitely have an impact on a game's sales.
There, and game makers are also talking about a new rating system similar to the movies. We'll see what happens. I'm Carol Lynn reporting live from Northridge. Back to you.
Farmville, and a bit of Angry Birds. Oh, geez. Oh man, so while casual gaming has been a thing for a long while, it wasn't until somewhat recently that the casual market exploded thanks to platforms such as mobile phones and Facebook. And Farmville is often credited as being the biggest and most influential casual game, being one of the earliest and most popular games featuring long wait times unless you pay more money or share your farm with your Facebook friends. Farmville, with the help of Angry Birds, pioneered the boom of the casual mobile market, which certainly is a major chunk of the gaming industry and is causing a huge effect on more typical games too, such as sharing your gaming experience on Facebook and YouTube, and microtransactions all over full-price games. And we likely have Farmville to thank for that. And number one is easily Pong. While not the very first video game ever, Pong can be credited for creating the video game industry. Before Pong, the only video games were games like Tennis for Two, Tic-Tac-Toe, and whatever the Magnavox Odyssey can be considered. All very expensive computer equipment that still wasn't even all that good. Pong, however, popularized the idea of playing a game on your home television, essentially creating the home video game industry as an industry of its own rather than just an extension of the toy and board game industry. But of course, there are way more games that have had a major impact on the industry than 10. Or 12 if you count the others I've mentioned. To see a larger list of highly impactful games, check out my Games Grabber page, link in the description. With Games Grabber, you can check out all kinds of games that I and others recommend. And with its new features, such as messaging and notifications, you can get a lot more involved with your friends, and me. You can see what it is I'm grabbing and what others think about your grabs. With messaging, you can now send messages to friends you follow and to follow you back. And soon, a group chat feature will be implemented where I can talk to all of you. So if that sounds interesting to you, click that link in the description to check it out. And as always, stay awesome.